Hey guys, I wanted to take you along today here on Crazy Days. It's been a really crazy day. I've been doing all kinds of baking. But the one thing I wanted to show you was, it's in my recipe book, Cooking Southern Style with Deep South Homestead, page 15. It is a squash casserole. Okay, in the Back to Basics Summit online that I was in, I did Feasting on the Harvest. A lot of people did not know what to do with what they have once they can stuff. So I'm going to continue along with this as I make things with my jarred veggies or fruits. Plus, I'm going to show you a few other things that I have going on that's all from Deep South. Or most of it's from Deep South. I have to say not everything is from Deep South. I have been gifted some things that I'm going to use today. So let's get started making a squash casserole. All right, first let's talk about our ingredients. All right, I've made cornbread. Okay, so most everybody has cornmeal and stuff like that, but hey, I can have Danny corn, right? Ground into cornmeal and make cornbread. Our own eggs, so we had the eggs in it. So that's partially Deep South, right? The almond milk I have to buy, just because. All right, onions. These onions were gifted to us. They're Vidalia onions from Georgia. And when they came in, I took and sliced them all and froze them so that when I need onions, I just take some out. So frozen veggies is part of your harvest. We have planted onions this time. That's the one thing we haven't gotten to grow really well. We get little small onions. I like the big onions. And like I said, eggs. We have plenty of eggs. Butter. I canned this butter in December of last year. So it's almost a year old. In a couple of weeks it'll be a year old. This butter's awesome. This is our canned squash. Okay, it was done in 16 in June, I believe. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to have a video up. If I don't already, I will soon. This is my homemade cheese. I made cheese for the first time. Hey, it's pretty awesome. So let's mix this together. Okay, so I've drained the squash. And if you were using fresh squash, you cook it, and you can cook your onions in with it and then drain it and be ready to go. But using the canned squash, it's already done. And I could have sauteed these onions if I'd have wanted to, but they're going to cook anyway with the mixture. It's not going to be a big deal. So I've cut up a few onions. The squash is not mashed. I like mine just kind of semi-done. We're going to add half a cup of milk and 2 eggs. And that is it for the casserole part. You just mix that all up. And we're going to pour this into a casserole dish and make the topping. Okay, before I do this, let's add a little salt and pepper. I'm not even sure if I added that to my recipe. I'm thinking I kind of left it out, but salt and pepper to taste. And these canned squash already have salt in them, so you don't want to over salt because of that. So that's why I went a little light on the salt, a little heavy on the pepper. Now we're going to make our cornbread topping. My butter is soft, and I'm putting in, it calls for melted butter, but this is really soft butter. And I'm not too worried about it. And it calls for crumbling your cornbread up in here. And we're just going to mix it up and make it really... And it calls for 2 cups, but, you know, I don't measure anything. I just do some. We'll use about half of a pound of cornbread because I'm going to use the other half for greens. And that should mix up pretty well with our butter in a minute. And we're going to try the cheese. Now the cheese is usually a soft cheese, and it usually crumbles up pretty well. So we're going to try it. I may have to grate it, but if I don't, yeah, it's going to crumble up, yeah. So this is what you want. You want just to be able to add your own cheese. Now this cheese I made, but I did buy the milk from a local dairy that we have, and it is cow's milk. So it's not necessarily Deep South. It's all Deep South made, I guess you would say. Had Deep South something done to it, from the canned butter to the frozen onions that were gifted, the cheese that was made, the cornbread ground from Danny corn, the squash that was raised, the eggs. I mean, it's pretty awesome to know that 90% of your meal comes from your plate. Well, let's say 75. You know, 75% comes from our place. And I'm going to crumble all this in here. And y'all, this cheese tasted really good. I've been eating little slices of it. I'll do a little more cheese because I like cheese and stuff. And we're going to mix it up, make a crumble, and put it on our casserole. And for the most part, this is what you can do. Just mix it up. And if you want some salt and pepper in this, I'm probably going to add a little bit to it, not a lot. And you just mix it up and make a good crumble. I think that does it. We have our casserole here. My kitchen's a mess, I'm just going to say. I've been cooking all day. I've got sweet potato crustless pie, 2 9x13 pans done. I did sweet potato muffins. I did a little mini cake, and oh my goodness, I've tried it because I could. So the muffins are going to be awesome because the mini cake was really, really good. I've got a sweet potato casserole over here. I cooked some almond biscuits for Danny. Then I did, let's see, what else have I got? I might be about it. Oh, greens. I've got the greens cooked, and this cornbread. This cornbread's going with my greens later. I had to have some for this and some for the greens. And we're going to have a turkey. I've got the turkey going. So all this is going on at Deep South today because I'm fixing to head outside in a few minutes after this gets done and I get it in the fridge for this weekend. We're fixing to work with sugar cane. There is our squash casserole ready for the oven. Is our sweet potato casserole ready for the oven. That is a sweet potato mini loaf of bread. It is awesome. I've eaten half of it already. Turned out really good. I made some muffins, and the muffins are awesome. Here is my squash casserole that cooked for about 35 minutes at around 375. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. And here is the sweet potato casserole. The squash casserole recipe today is in my cookbook, Cooking Southern Style with Deep South Homestead. You can find this cookbook on our Etsy store at deepsouthhomestead.etsy.com. Check it out, guys.